I keep talking about how millennials get a bad rap. I mean, look, there isn't an article that comes out, or I should say, there isn't a day where an article doesn't come out about how millennials are lazy or entitled or spend too much money on iPhones and avocado toast. Okay. However, when it comes to being entitled, for example, and there are lots of different things that we've had to go out and debunk, talking points from people who don't understand what's going on with millennials, with this generation, and the problems this generation faces. Well, this one involves debunking the entitlement mentality. Again, they always like to say millennials are entitled, they're entitled, right? They want everything handed to them. That's actually not true. It turns out that according to a study, millennials actually have very high expectations of themselves and try very hard to fit those expectations. Now, what do I mean by that? What kind of expectations? According to this study from bankrate.com, millennials think that people should be on their own far earlier than previous generations. Let me give you an example. According to this study, millennials say that people should be able to pay for their own housing at the age of 22, pay for their own car at 20 and a half years of age, and be responsible for their own cell phone bill at 18 and a half years of age. Now, in my personal experience, I hit those all around 20. Car at 18, phone a lot later on, because again, we didn't have smartphones. Back in my day, I didn't have no smartphone. I had a brick, so with a screen with green letters. So I had one of those. Now, as far as housing, that was about the same time, 21. So I'm actually doing pretty good. Now, how does this stack up against baby boomers? Well, in all three cases, the younger cohort's average response is about a year and a half earlier than when baby boomers feel these three landmarks of financial independence should happen. So millennials are like, yeah, I've got higher expectations of myself. I want to pay my own phone. I want to pay for my own car. I want to have my own apartment or my own house way earlier than what boomers say that people should have it. So by their own admission, yes, we want to get out of the nest sooner, take care of ourselves faster than other previous generations. Now, that doesn't mean millennials are able to do so. Expectation and reality happen to be different. Now, according to the U.S. Census data, analyzed by real estate listing Trulia, around 40% of millennials still live at home. That is the largest percentage since 1940. More data from the Pew Research Center says that for the first time in more than 130 years, American adults aged 18 to 34 were more likely to live with their parents than with a spouse or partner in their own household. So let me give you a little context on those numbers. Now, I think part of that is where is related to the fact that younger people aren't getting married. Okay, you're not getting married. You're not moving in with people. You're not on your own. Two incomes. Unfortunately, you need two incomes to be able to afford a place in the current housing situation. Even rent-controlled apartments are very, very difficult to get into because there's not a lot of those available. So housing is more expensive. You normally need two incomes. There's not a lot of jobs, and there's a lot of student loan debt. So there's this perception of millennials, and unfortunately, the stay-at-home stat feeds into these as people who aren't interested in settling down. Oh, you got the hookup culture. They're immoral. They're just having sex. They're having fun, and they're lazy, right? They don't want to leave home because they get all their stuff taken care of, and they live for free. Okay, well, some of that is based on economic issues. I'll point that out. As well as millennials, I think, thanks to our unique upbringing, have different changing, evolving opinions on marriage. In fact, psychologist, relationship expert, and author of The Ultimate Guide to a Multi-Orgasmic Life, oh, that sounds great, Antonio Hall tells Bustle, many millennials were raised with rising divorce rates and broken homes, so they're far less likely to buy into marriage as the only best form of relationship for themselves. Add to that the increase in educational costs and debt, and millennials feel financially less secure, which makes entering into what's considering a binding contract with their significant other far less appealing. Now, so look, you take in those changing attitudes, and less millennials leave the home, or they do so later on, get married and start families because, again, some of these different issues. And now we'll talk about the economic part. Now, they don't have a lot of money because you have stagnant wages and giant amounts of student loan debt. In fact, millennials shoulder more student loan debt than any other generation and face housing prices that are far higher than their parents did at their age. As of right now, student loan debt has reached $1.3 trillion, and the cost of college has soared. So that's, I mean, that's what's facing millennials right now. Now, it used to be a rule, right, where, hey man, try not to spend more than 30% of your income on rent or a mortgage. You want to make sure that, you don't spend that much so you can save money for retirement, buy things, and just be prepared financially to handle this. Well, unfortunately, most people aren't able to do that, especially millennials. In fact, in 2017, the median amount most renters pay is 40% of their income on rent. That is nearly half, sometimes more. And in no state in America, right now, can the minimum wage actually get you a 2-bedroom apartment. So you're not able to afford that. Now, there's a lot of different reasons of this housing disparity. Again, the lack of affordable housing in a lot of cities. You also have gentrification, and you also have foreign buyers that come in and snatch up houses with cash. Cash always wins, unfortunately. And so, that inflates home prices. And again, with that student loan debt, a lot of people don't have that disposable income, stagnant wages, that make it very, very difficult for millennials to be able to afford to get into housing. So a lot of people don't really have much of a choice. If you work a minimum wage job, even if you have a degree, you've got that student loan debt to take care of. You can't find affordable housing if you're in a big city, San Francisco, LA, New York, for example, where homes can cost upwards of over $1 million for like a condo or a decent sized home. Well, what options do you have other than staying at home? So, but regardless of all this, millennials still have higher expectations for themselves. And when they do so, they still can't compete. Now that's sad, because look, some of the hardest working, most innovative people are millennials. And all they're trying to do is they're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Now, speaking as a millennial, we didn't have the ability to put ourselves through college, only working part-time like a lot of boomers did. I don't begrudge them that. In fact, I'd love to go back to that. That'd be great. I'd love to work myself, or I'd love to have had the ability to work myself through college, working part-time at a fast food restaurant, bussing tables. Oh, that'd be great. Instead, people taking out, even for community college, which is a lot cheaper, still up to $20,000, $30,000 in student loan debt. Now, a lot of us also didn't have the ability to buy a home straight out of high school, being able to get some of those manufacturing jobs that paid well above minimum wage. Those don't really exist anymore. Now, to be fair, I knew a couple of people, I graduated with a couple of people who did that, who did get those jobs and were able to buy a home, and then lost it during the financial crisis of 2008, a crisis that millennials didn't cause. So there's that as well. And again, that's my personal anecdote. Take that as you will. Look, millennials didn't cause outsourcing. Millennials didn't cause stagnant wages. They didn't cause increasing healthcare costs. We didn't cause bad trade deals. All we're doing is simply living in the world and making the best of the world that was left to us by some of the mistakes of the previous generations. So I guess my whole point is, maybe instead of calling us entitled, why not help us? Help us to fix those mistakes and to help us fix this situation so that millennials can go out and succeed and not have to stay at home and not have to forego marriage and not have to forego buying homes and cars. Fixing the problem is much more effective than blaming the people who are being the most affected by it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.